This is Chad Lickfeld, and for my contribution to A Picture's Worth a Thousand Words, I will be sharing parts of my interview with Mustafa Rafat. I had the good fortune of meeting Mustafa on LinkedIn while researching others working within my areas of interest. I was especially drawn to his story due to some commonalities within our life story, including my struggle with my disability of spina bifida and his with ankylosing spondylitis. On a regular basis, I struggle to ensure I have the appropriate medications, medical supplies, and access to appropriate professionals, not to mention the governmental bureaucracies, including SSI. I can't imagine how difficult all of this would be as a refugee with no support at all. Mustafa is currently a researcher at Washington University in St. Louis.
Thank you. My name is Mustafa Rafat. I am originally from Iraq, and I came to the US as a refugee. I am a person with disabilities. I am, yeah, currently a PhD student in social work. So, yeah, thank you for the invitation.
My professor tells us that there's a story behind every decision to migrate, voluntary or involuntary. And so I just wanted to hear a little bit more about your story from Iraq and what made you come all this way.
Absolutely. One of the main force behind like making this decision was we were targeted by terrorist groups, and so they killed my uncle. So I had literally no choice except to make a decision and leave Iraq. It literally happened very quickly within a matter of like a week or less than a week, and I became a refugee in northern Iraq. Sorry, in Turkey. Um, and then so I was a refugee for about a year, and why I was resettled in the U.S.
That's quite a big toll on the mental health, I would assume. As you know, as I told you before, I'm disabled as well, so that's something that we can definitely bond on with the whole. I'm really interested in studying refugees with disabilities because it's a hard thing to get down to with uh specifically with refugees with disabilities, and a lot of people don't necessarily, unfortunately, make it to
Mhm.
refugee status. So yeah, just talk more about your journey here and what things have been like. We want to specifically talk about some of the othering that has happened with you and what kind of experiences you've had here in the both in Turkey and in the US.
So definitely, I think you highlighted an important point. For refugees with disabilities, it's never an easy decision to leave home because we heavily rely on our community, um, like important things like medications, connecting to a hospital, uh, like having a doctor back home. Like these things makes it very difficult for a refugee with disabilities to leave. And there are like reports that says, refugees with disabilities are the last one leaving their home country because they rely on it heavily, and for obvious reasons. Um, like getting disconnected from the resources that you rely on is very, very tough. And it was very difficult for me because um, I had I like my family was helping me tremendously back in Iraq. I relied on them. Um, and when I left to Turkey, um, you face discrimination based on your refugee status, but then you also face discrimination because of your disability status. So all of these like elements makes it very, very difficult. Um, so yeah, I mean, my it was actually very painful back in Turkey. I mean, especially losing family member, and you are like um, you lost family members, and now you are in a foreign country. You don't have anyone you can rely on, and you lose all your rights. So it's not easy. Like you surrender all your rights to the UN. Um, so that's really made it very, very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, speaking of the legal process, what was that like for you? What was the legal process of the transition from, Turkey, then Turkey to the US? Just I've read a lot about it in your in one of your papers on LinkedIn about, so I kind of know all the answers, but I kind of I for this assignment I definitely want to get you to
Mhm.
give me the lowdown on what goes on in the legal process and just the whole process of making it here as a refugee, because I know it's hard to get that refugee status to begin with.
It is very difficult. So there are multiple um, checks by the UN. So you apply for a refugee status by the UN,
Hmm.
and the UN refers you to the local agents, like local, like police station, whatever country you are in, to basically surrender all your rights and follow certain rules. And you oftentimes don't have any access to services like healthcare, employment, things like that. Um, and then you do multiple interviews by the UN. And the idea behind it is that they are trying to assess to see if your story is legitimate,
Hmm.
if you are really under threat. And the local police does the same thing. So it's very painful because you get to tell your story over and over and over, and this is no fun story. You lost your family member, you lost your home, you were forced out of your home country, um, and then if they find your story credible, you get the refugee status from the UN. In the process, it can take from 1 year to almost 15 years. Um, so depending on the case, and especially these days, it's very, very difficult to get resettled. It's like people rarely get this chance.
Hmm.
Um, yes, but I was lucky at that time. There were not many wars
Hmm.
going on in Iraq. No, like the war of Syria, Sudan, and other countries were still not ignited.
Right, right.
So, yeah, which made my case like easy.
Want to touch on a couple other with your just your assimilation into America and how that's gone for you. I know you've made it as into a lot of auspicious educational things. Just talk a little bit how hard that must have been, especially with a disability. I can imagine that must have been very difficult.
It was indeed very difficult. Again, we are talking about intersectionality of refugee status and disability status. Both status are severely stigmatized, severely, like currently, like in refugee resettlement programs, there is no consideration for um, people with disabilities. So basically, if you get lucky, you will get a SSI, supplemental security income,
Mhm.
and that's it. You are stuck at home. You have no other choice to attend the school, to um, to do basic things like, find part-time employment and things like that. And you come here with language barriers, with like unfamiliarity with how system works here, what type of programs are there, and things like that, which makes um, your life even more difficult.
Yeah, I understand that too. Man, that it's touching such a nerve for me because I myself, as I told you, I'm disabled too. I am literally in that situation where I'm on SSI, and SSI doesn't give you a lot of opportunities. Like a lot. Like I'm fortunate enough that I was accepted into FIU, and I'm taking a few classes at a time to kind of stay, relevant enough that
Hmm.
I don't have to worry about them messing with my SSI, but
Yes,
still enough where I'm gonna get my my degree eventually. It will happen eventually, but so yeah, I can definitely relate with you there. It makes it hard to do. SSI specifically makes it hard to do a lot of things for sure.
definitely, definitely.
Advice would you give to that kind of person that would suit them well for making it here?
So if they have family members, I think that will make a big difference.
Yeah.
Having extra support from family is very, very important.
Hmm.
Um, the second thing is, being resilient, not giving up easily, because really the program, like everything design is to crush your motivation. It's to exclude you. So the program is really not like in your favor. So you have to break every barrier that comes across you. And that has a very big toll on your mental health. Um, and it's very tough. What I would say is just continue like learning English. That's going to serve you very, very well. Um, at the same time, try to connect with people. The social element is very important. It will open doors for you. And remember, there are help out there regarding like, accessing disability programs, which they have like tremendous help in helping you access employment or education.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Well,
And yes, we definitely need support from local people with disabilities like you, who will whose help and raising awareness all will make a big difference in our lives. So I really appreciate your reach out.